Kia ora everyone and welcome back. Today I'm going to take you through Civilization 6's latest update. The developers did a huge live stream, went for about an hour. I'm going to consolidate and condense that information down into 10 minutes or less for you. So, huge updates across the board to combat, to civilizations, and a few other little things as well. Governors, maps, leader selection pool. So, let me jump in. I've got about 5 pages of hand-scrawled notes. Let me jump in and take you through changes to some civilizations first. Then I'll move into some combat changes, some new units, and some buffs to existing combat track lines, including basically the whole melee unit combat strength line. And then finally I'll take you through some miscellaneous changes. So, starting off, let's go through the civs. I've got some gameplay in the back as well, and I'll be popping in little screenshots from different changes throughout the video, so do stay tuned. For starters, we have Spain, as you can see, bit of gameplay here of Spain. So Spain is receiving a pretty significant buff, +5 combat strength, up from 4 for other religious units. The Conquistador has been buffed slightly as well for its religious adjacency bonus. Their trade routes are where the real money's going to come through, and you'll see some footage from them later. +3 gold, +2 faith, and +1 production for every trade route, and plus 25% bonus for production on different continents. And their start bonus has changed as well. They'll sort of favour geothermal fissures rather than coastline. The next big civ to change, and I'll chuck it up on screen, probably Maya received a significant buff, +1 production for farms. Start bias has added more hills, so you should see more production with them, and a free builder in all cities within 6 tiles of the capital. Gilgamesh, extra combat strength. I will just sort of breeze through these quite quickly as to not bore you, but do stay tuned and I'll have some more information on the screen and down below. Gilgamesh, +5 combat strength to allies of any type at war with a common foe. That's quite fun. Scythia's unique tile improvement, the Kurgan, gives extra gold and faith, also extra tourism, and their unique archer is up. The Ottomans, their government with gunpowder gets an extra governor, rather, and changed their start bonus to favour Niter. China has already been covered in a previous video of mine, so if you missed that, check it out, link in the description. Greeks receive a slight combat buff, and Gorgo herself increased combat strength for military policies. +1 combat strength per military policy, which is pretty cool. Now, we did have a few civilizations that have been nerfed, and I'm going to jump in and cover them quickly before I cover off the last few that were buffed. Nubia, the pyramid provides an additional food, which is up to 2, and an additional faith, which is up to 2, which you might say, well, that's a buff. Yeah, it is, but their ranged unit was nerfed. Likewise with Russia, again, a double-edged blade. New tiles per city are down from 8 to 5, but their unique and the unique district has also been gated a bit, so now the bonuses won't be provided, those great person bonuses, until you build the specific building within the district that's required. So for example, you won't get your great rider bonus until you build a shrine, or what have you. And then Kumai of the Khmer has sort of been adjusted to be more of a tool civ. This is mostly a buff rather than a nerf, to be fair. In fact, it's almost concretely a buff. Their Passat no longer is relic-based. Faith is just huge for them now. Likewise with production, we're getting huge bonuses within city per population. River adjacency bonuses now provide additional faith and food for farms adjacent to holy site as well. More faith, food, and production. It's insane. Their bonuses are insane. But the other one that was nerfed was the Congo. So great riders have been nerfed slightly. No additional points. And relics, art, +1 faith, has been slightly adjusted as well. Again, a movement away from relics and a focus on faith. And then I'll just quickly lightning through the final changes. So Canada increased tile yields in Tundra. The Aztecs received +1 culture for their unique building. The Koreans, each Seiwan bonuses have been doubled. The Aussies, how you doing? Stronger coastal start bonus, not much for you Aussies. Unlucky. India, various changes to their unit. And the Shakar, +2 gold and +1 science per building in their encampment. Actually quite a significant buff and maybe worth checking out. Now, let me move on as we approach the 5-minute mark in this video. If you don't mind dropping a like or a subscribe, that would be fantastic as well. But anyway, I'll move on. The 5-minute mark, let's talk about unit changes. because there are quite some significant buffs and changes to units in the game. Overall, the melee track line has been significantly buffed. So that's with the addition of 2 new units and some tweaks throughout. So the Men-at-Arms, new medieval unit, requires iron and has 45 combat strength. You unlock it with the apprenticeship technology in the medieval era. Line infantry is the next general unit, again available to all civs. It's unlocked with military science and requires niter. And then, of course, I couldn't move on any further without mentioning the almighty trebuchet. You can see it on screen. It's been added with military engineering. It upgrades from the catapult, but before the bombard. It will balance early game changes, particularly with siege combat, which was kind of tough in between those 2 units. It has plus 10 combat strength over the catapult, so it's got 35. And of note, the catapult has been buffed by 2 combat strength, I believe, up from 23 to 25. That's the melee combat strength. Overall, lots of the later game combat melee units have received plus 10 strength. So the musketman, for example, up from 45 to 55. That's really significant. That's essentially a doubling of their power bonus, if you understand kind of the way the mechanics work in the game. Depending on, of course, what you're fighting. But if you're fighting an equally sort of an equal era unit and a roughly equal strength unit, that's say minus 10, then you're essentially twice as strong. Likewise, infantry now up to 75%. The only exception is the swordsman, which I believe received a slight nerf. And of note, unique units here, like belonging to the Congo, Macedonia, receive plus 3 combat strength. The only ones that don't are, for example, the Roman legions, which were considered already to be quite strong. Also, another sort of broad buff, but not quite as significant, horses and knights up to combat strength. A nice little buff to keep them in line. The other significant shift across the whole game that I picked up on was a significant shift towards faith, which I'm not personally mega excited for, I have to admit, but we'll see how it plays out in practice. The developers talked a lot about integration with faith and making faith more useful, not just for a religious victory, but for all other types of victory. To try and sort of lace faith in with production or lace it in with science. And as I've talked through some of those civs at the start of the game and the changes to those civs, you probably picked up on that. A lacing of faith, extra faith through the game. Think about Spain's plus 2 faith per trade route. And if you saw the gameplay on the stream here, ridiculous, like plus 15, plus 17 faith, trading with city-states. But also some of the other civs have faith sort of woven in through them. So we'll have to wait and see, I think, how that plays out. Finally, some miscellaneous changes that were covered. Governor Moksha, who I'll throw on screen now, his first ability, the Bishop, now provides plus 2 faith per district, very strong. The map, which you can see on screen as well, that's the TSL Huge Earth map, which can cater to 12 civs and 18 city-states. There's also a Mediterranean one. I think there's some fun to be had here because the start bonuses are basically always fixed, so you can have some crazy European thing going on. Huge shout out to these guys, by the way, for all the work they've done. And finally, the leader selection pool. So now when you're setting up a game, you can say, I want European powers, and you can say, I want 4 of them. You can say African powers, I want 3 of them. So a bit more customization in how we choose our games without specifically choosing the civs. Look, I think that's all from me today, covering all of the raft of changes that are coming in the next update to Civilization 6, which releases on the 22nd of April at 9 PM PST. So by the time you're watching this video, it's out. Most likely, unless you're one of the early birds. If you are, let me know in the comments below. I will have the full patch notes below. I will have my other update video below, which covered some of the first changes that we heard about roughly a week ago. And of course, I will be covering all of this content on the channel. So if you do enjoy it, if you enjoyed this video, and if you like Civ 6 content, why not subscribe? Go on. Go on, you know you want to. But in all seriousness, thanks so much for watching. I'm really excited for this update. They've changed a lot about the game. Oh, and of course I should add that all of this is free. Unless it applies specifically to a DLC civilization that you don't own, Of course, you have to buy that content, but all of the base changes, all of the base game civ changes, all of the unit changes, the new units, including the trebuchet, are all entirely free for everybody. So again, just another huge shout out to the dev team. Man, they're putting in work, and this looks like a fantastic update, and I can't wait to jump in. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.